It's so nice. Well, you know what? The float tank center that I go to in Oklahoma, it's called Float OKC. On my second time in there, they were like, "Oh, you didn't check the box of how you heard of this," and it was like friend, family, this or that, and then Joe Rogan, because they started up because of you, and like they were talking about, hey, there's probably 20 or 30 in the country before Joe started talking about it on the podcast, and now it's just grown so much.
There's hundreds of them. It's crazy.
I think there's over 300.
Yeah, people say, "Do you have a piece of those?" I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah.
No, good. Keep going. I don't want any money.
Yeah.
More power to them. I think it's an amazing way to change the way you look at the world and see yourself and be alone with your thoughts. And I just think it's one of the best tools for human development.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just think it's incredible. I was shocked when more people didn't know about it. I had one in my house in 2002.
Wow.
Somewhere around there.
Look at that.
Yeah, 2003.
It's awesome.
One of the reasons why I got this house was because it had a basement. And I'm like, ooh, perfect place for a tank. I'm like, I'm looking at houses all fucked up. I'm like, do I have enough room in the backyard to shoot my bow? Yes. Is there a tank room? Yeah. I mean, that's like how I look at houses now.
That's cool. So how do you, if it's okay, how do you use, I floated 8 times now, and I've finally done a 2-hour float, which was, I think, a lot more beneficial doing it a little bit longer.
That's the game changer.
Oh man, that was awesome. And then, but Wednesday before my fight on Friday, March 3rd, I went in and I had this intention where Neil from Float OKC was like, "Hey, why don't you, instead of just rushing in here from training or rushing in here from the office at Water 4, like come in 30 minutes early, kind of sit down, chill, close your eyes, like, set an intention, and then do it." And I came in and I had watched a documentary called Float Nation. And it was cool because it was like an hour and a half, and it showed a lot of different things, but it showed some scientific stuff of sports psychologists and basically visualization. And then I've done some more research, and there's this like place in Tulsa that has some brain doctors, doctors that are researching neuroscience and different stuff, but they're finally doing a clinical study with people with anxiety and depression. It's finally fully funded. And the guy was talking about it and was saying that basically the same exact results that anti-anxiety medicine has, the float tank can do 100% naturally, and that the studies are coming out to back it up. And so it's just really cool. But the tank, Wednesday, I basically visualized the fight exactly the way it went down on Friday. I just had this intense time. That was the best float I've had. I was just sitting there thinking about the fight, and saying everything that I wanted to do. It was almost like I went to training before, then I was drilling the moves I wanted to do in the fight. Then I went into the tank, and I right before that, so I was drilling early that morning, everything that I wanted to do in the fight, kind of visualizing before I went into the tank. Then when I came out, before I got in the tank after training, I started to watch fight film on him, see how he's moving. And then I went into the tank and I was able to just think about what he's going to do, think about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to implement it. And then it's nuts. Like the only difference was I got 2 big throws instead of 1 big throw. In the vision, I had 1 throw. And then in the fight, I had 2 big throws, but the ground and pound straight into the arm triangle, exactly what I had been envisioning. So when you say personal development, I'm like, man, I get it. Like, so how do you do it? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I'm wanting to learn how to go deep with it and just let go and use it as a tool of personal development.
Yeah, the more often you can get into it, the more you get relaxed, and the more you can sort of slip into that comfortable state of not feeling the water or feeling the air and just being in your mind, see nothing, feel nothing, released from your body. And then I'll either go in there with ideas, like maybe I'll go in there. I've gone over jiu-jitsu in there. I've gone over different martial arts techniques in there where you sort of visualize movement. But a lot of it I'll go over material, like I'll have ideas. Sometimes it fucks up my float where I have an idea that I can't let go. Like I have to set something up where I have a voice-activated recorder inside the float tank where I can talk. But part of me doesn't want to talk while I'm in there. I just want to be alone with my thoughts because I think when you talk, it'll take you out of it. But there's some ideas that I don't want to escape me because ideas are slippery, man. They you have a great idea. Like sometimes I'll have a great idea when I'm in bed and I'm like, oh, I'll remember that. I don't remember it ever. Like you fucking ever. I might remember 1 out of 10 that I think I'm going to remember. So I'm probably going to have to figure out some way to record things while I'm in the tank. But For me, it depends on what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Just trying to just be balanced, think about life, think about my behavior, think about my interaction with people. Do I have as much energy and appreciation as I should? Do I have as much gratitude as I should? I just want to optimize my thought process, and I'm definitely not claiming that I do or that I always have it right. I definitely don't. It's an ongoing process, and that's one of the realities of being a person. The idea of the perfect person, it just doesn't exist, and I think it's a bad model to strive for, and instead you should strive for doing your best whenever you can, as much as you can. And I think that reviewing your thoughts and reviewing your whole mental process is a very important part of optimization, about being your best, and just taking account and looking at it from, I think it's one of the rare moments where you're actually alone with your thoughts, where there's no influence of the body, the distractions of the body, of just even the weight of sitting down, feeling your butt on the chair, your elbows on this desk. All those things are factors, and they're being calculated by your mind. And the analogy that I always use is if you and I were having this conversation, but right next to us was a jackhammer, it would be super distracting. But that's just input. That jackhammer is just profound input. And I think that everything is input. Social cues, looking at people, sounds, feeling, touch, gravity. All those things are input that is going into the mind that your mind has to calculate. In the absence of any input, whether it's physical, touch, you feel like you're flying through space, you feel zero gravity, you don't feel the water because it's the same temperature as your skin.
Yeah.
You're floating in it. It's total silence, total darkness. In the absence of that input, I think your brain becomes superpowered. I think it becomes supercharged, and I think you get to see things in a much clearer way. And I've seen myself at fault when I thought I was innocent. I've seen myself happy and fulfilled when I thought I was longing. It's given me a much more balanced perspective and a better way of addressing the realities of the complexities of life.
Man, that's great. That's awesome.
It's a powerful tool, man. And it was weird to me that around 2002, when I really started talking about it, that nobody knew what the fuck it was. I was like, how is this a weird, how am I the guy who's talking about this? How's the UFC commentator the guy who's talking about floating? I mean, it just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. No, I don't think I mean, you had talked about it and I knew about it, but it wasn't until I got in the tank and came out of the tank for the first time that then I got it. Yeah. It was like, oh man, like this is awesome.
And the physical aspects of it, the way the magnesium makes your body feel, and the looseness of the being in the zero gravity environment, what feels like zero gravity, everything gets loose. It just relaxes. The back relaxes, the arms, the knees, the neck, everything just gets loose in there, and you come out just feeling good. You want to hug people.
Oh yeah, I know. That's exactly how I came out. I came out and had a smile from ear to ear. And when I came out of it, they're like, "Oh, you have that post-float glow," and I actually gave the guy a hug. I didn't even know his name, but gave him a big hug, and it was so cool, man. And it's neat. The float community seems like everyone's just chill. Everyone that has a deeper appreciation for life. That might be too much, but it seems like everyone's got a deeper appreciation for life, where they just I don't know.
I think there's something into what you're saying. It sounds pretentious.
Yeah, it does.
But you're right. There is something there. I know what you're saying. It's like saying that there's something special about it. And I think a big part of what that something special is the alleviation of tension. And I think tension, much like inflammation, causes a lot of diseases and a lot of disorders that people have pertaining to diet, and that inflammation causes, like you were talking about with your celiac.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that is a lot of it is based on inflammation, right?
Right.
I think tension is in many ways, the physical tension is also another real boundary to comfort. And that physical tension is alleviated greatly when you're in that tank. And I think when you're more comfortable, you're more relaxed. When you're more relaxed, you're more open. When you're more open, you're more loving. I think all those things sort of cascade. Yeah. They feed on each other and they help. And when a tense person that's like stressful, like fuck, God damn it, it's really hard to like be calm and kind. It's like you're so wound up. I think that thing removes a lot of the physical aspects of being wound up. And then on top of that, the deep meditative effects of being in that tank, especially if you go into it like you did, with a vision or a direction and a thought to work on. I think it does wonders for your thought process.
Yeah, man, I'm still learning about it, because the first couple times I was just trying to just wipe my mind clean, and coming out completely stress-free, feeling completely stress-free at least, was awesome. And then going in there with an intention and with a goal, with a fight just a couple days away. I don't know that this is what happened, but in training, I had been feeling great. But then it felt like something just turned on or started firing, where it connected like the mental visualization to the physical of actually going in there and doing it the exact way that I saw it, was something that just kind of blew my mind. It was cool to see that happen, because you'd want to see the match or the fight 100 times in your head before you ever go out there and do it. I mean, not put things in it to where if it goes bad or if it doesn't go exactly your way in the fight, that then you freak out during the fight. But you want to have a goal and an intention and know what you're going to do in there. I think that's probably what Connor did when he was fighting Aldo. He knew he was going to go in there and end it quick, and he saw that happening. And so, not saying, I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Do you remember when he talked about it after the Eddie Alvarez fight? He said, I had a vision of me standing here with the second belt. Like, where the fuck is me other belt?
Yeah.
He was like really upset. Like,
you're right.
I visualized this. I want it. And then Tyron Woodley, of all people,
they had to give his belt, right?
Oh, it's really cool that they did that, though. That Tyron allowed that to happen. Kudos to him. But that the visualization of a goal is very important to like solidifying this idea of what that goal is in your mind. Visualization has been there's been studies done on visualization as far as athletics and skill learning, and some people believe it is as important as physical practice, which is kind of crazy,
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, Kenny Monday, who's been involved in the MMA community quite a lot, he was my high school wrestling coach, and he told me, go home, write a goal, put it somewhere you can see it. So I wrote down, he told me to write down state champ, but I wrote down national champ, and I put it above my bed. And then over, working with him, training, getting some wrestling moves, I put a step around body lock on the left, and I put a lateral drop on the right. And so my favorite wrestling move on the left and my second favorite wrestling move on the right. And when I won my first national championship, it was with the move on the left. And when I won my second, it was with the move on the right. And so I was going to bed, thinking about it, dreaming about it, waking up, starting my day, thinking about it, and wanting to really put that in action. And so I totally get it, and I need to be more conscious of it and dive even deeper into it, because I'm like you, I agree that, or at least I can see the point and how it's valid that the mental focus and energy and visualizing is pretty much just as important as actually physically doing it.
It's huge, and all of them together are really what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's no aspect.
other.
Yeah, no aspect can be ignored.